Alright guys, thank you for being here. Welcome back to another episode of Carlos's Toy Den. Today we're going to be looking at one of the figures I picked up this weekend at the WNC Comic-Con here in North Carolina. This is the Super7 Ultimates Green Dragonzord. I gotta say green just because some of you guys may not know. And I know there's been a few things about Super7, and I'll be honest, I've already opened this up, and I'm a little on the fence how I feel about this, and I feel like a lot of their figures kind of go like this. But let's look at the packaging. I think this is one of the things Super7 does absolutely fantastically, is that the packaging, in my opinion, looks really good. I like the cover slips they put on here. You've got this gold foil label for the emblem, which I think is awesome. I like the electricity effects coming off. It kind of fades off. I like that a lot. You got Dragonzord here at the bottom, Super7 down here at the bottom. If you look on the top, you'll see Ultimate 7 or Ultimates on the top. I like that as well. You flip it around and we've got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I think that looks pretty good. I really can't complain. I think they're really packaging. I think this is probably the strongest thing that Super7 does, is their packaging. If they were just in it for packaging, maybe it'd be a different story, but right now we're looking at toys. So let's take a look. And once that slip cover is removed, you can see the Dragonzord in the packaging, which I think looks great. You've got the medallion here, you've got a small little Green Ranger, you've got the effects for shooting missiles, which I think is really cool. You do get extra hands, but let's keep taking a look at this. You got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers here. Again, I think the packaging is probably one of the strongest things that Super7 does. So I don't know, maybe they just need to stick to just packaging. I don't know. So we turn around to the side, a little bit of a lightning bolt. We get the green Dragonzord. We get a little bit of a description down here at the bottom. I'm not really going to read that. I never really learned how to read. So if you guys want to pause the video here, take a look at that. There it is. But honestly, I think the packaging, as always, looks really good. I can't hate on it. I think that looks great. I love this little Green Ranger in the Zord Ascension project. Green Dragonzord. You do get one of these, but it's unpainted. I can't find it at the moment, so you won't be seeing the comparison in my video for that one. But we will take a look at a few different Dragonzords other than this one. That way you can get an idea. Alright, next let's go ahead and take it out of the box, and we'll see what everything looks like outside of it. Alright, so now we have him on the rotating turntable, and to be honest, I do think he looks pretty cool. I don't have a whole lot of complaints. I think if you were to pick up this figure, it's got its place in your display. The fact that it's not combining, I think, does work in its favor. But that's the other issue I have with it, is because it's not combining, I do expect a little more articulation out of it. So we are going to go over that later on in this video. But I just kind of wanted us to take a look at how it just looks. And because if we're going to be honest, you're going to just display it on a shelf, right? It's just going to sit with your other Power Ranger stuff. And I think if you need a representation of the Dragonzord on your shelf, I think this is it. I do think this is good representation. I think it looks good. It looks a lot like the TV show. Is it my favorite version of the Dragonzord? I'm not going to say that either. You do come with 2 sets of fists that you can swap out for those open hands. The fists look pretty cool. I can't complain, you know. They look good. I think they look good. The paint applications look good. I don't know how often I'm gonna put the fist on there, but you know what? They're there, so that's cool. We get these missile launching hands, which I think are really cool as well. These I may actually display. So these do have options. I do like that. On top of that, you get a 3rd set of hands, of alternate hands on top of the ones he's wearing, which is open hands, where you have these missiles that are firing off. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I can't complain about this. I think you have options. don't think it's the best Dragonzord we've gotten, but again, at the $55 price point, is it supposed to be? You know, Legacy came out at that $50, $70 mark, but it's no longer at that. If you're looking to pick up the Legacy Megazord or Dragonzord, you're looking at spending a good amount of money. This one has its place. It also comes with this medallion, which I think looks pretty good. I have the one from the legendary Tommy set that just came out on Hasbro Pulse, and I'd say, you know, we'll flip this over. You got this back. You got the Z coin. I don't know. I'd say I'd give it to the Super7 one. This one has like a little more detail on it. You see that? Like it's a little more detailed around the dragon emblem itself. But I'd say this one actually looks better. And I don't know if you can tell on here, but it is a little thicker than the other one. So I do think this is pretty cool. I don't know what to do with it now that I have it though, because it won't fit in my Morpher like this one will. I mean, this is specially made to fit in this, so I can pop this right in and then, oops, I got it upside down. Either way, I can pop this right in and it's gonna fit, but this, I don't have anywhere to put this. It looks cool. What am I gonna do? Like carry this around in my back pocket and play heads and tails with it? Like I don't really know what to do with this. If they gave you a way to display it, that'd be cool too, but there really isn't. I could display it in box because it looks pretty cool in box. But do I really want to do that? I mean, this is a big commitment. $50, $60 after taxes, $70 after shipping, right? You're looking at a pretty good commitment. And that's, in my book, that's 3 McFarlane figures. That's 2 Marvel Legends. That's almost a Mafex. You're really getting into some dangerous territory where that's why I don't know how to feel about this toy. I'm a little on the fence. While I think it's good representation of what the TV show gave us, I don't know if this is the Dragonzord you want for yourself. As you can see, that the little green Power Ranger is there. Again, I like that because it's painted. With Hasbro, we didn't get those painted minifigures for the Zord Ascension project. If I open up this right here, I'll be able to pull out the other Rangers, but I can't find my green one. But yeah, I mean, we get these little tiny ones and they're unpainted. When I look at Tommy, I do think that looks really cool, considering this is about $180 at retail. I don't know why these aren't painted. I do understand it's a combining Megazord, and it is bigger by a good amount, but I still don't know why it's not painted. This I think is really cool, and the paint apps are actually pretty good as well. It looks like Tommy Oliver. It looks like the Green Ranger. It looks like he's calling on him using the dagger. I do think that's a cool accessory to have. I will probably display it like that. But let's go ahead and jump on to the articulation for this, because you know, that's all the accessories. I'll display it. I'll show you some pictures with the accessories, but I don't know how to feel about it sometimes. This is an interesting figure for sure. We'll keep taking a look at it. Now that we have him off the turntable, you can take a look at it. So his legs actually move pretty good. You got a lot of free range in the hips. The knees bend a good little bit. It's not much. I'm not going to pretend you're going to be doing a whole lot, but that's a good kick forward, right? For a Dragonzord. Kicking back, not so much. But again, it is a Dragonzord, so I don't know how much you would want. It does do good splayed legs. which I like that. I think that's why he does have his place on my shelf, is that I do think this looks cool. The arms, you get a little bit of up and down. It's really hindered by the fact that it's all blocky. That's fine. Representation of the show, I guess. The wrists also have a little bit of movement, not much. They can turn though, flip over, which is fine. The mouth barely opens. It barely opens. Considering this does not have to combine with anything, and yet the mouth barely opens, I'm not really sure how to feel about that. This is one of the most on the fence figures I probably own, is because I don't know how to feel about it. You have no movement of the shoulders at all, considering you don't have to combine this with anything. You know, you could have added a little bit of range, made this a little bigger so you can open it up some more. I don't know. Maybe had a cut here in the back so then that can open up some. I don't know. The fact that you don't have to combine this with anything at all makes me question why. I just don't know. The tail though. The tail is one of the highlights to this figure. It articulates here, 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 and spins, which I think is really cool. I mean, you can get it. Look at that. That's pretty good. Oh, and now it won't hold. So that's a bummer. But again, it's fine. I mean, the tail's behind it anyway. You can turn it, adjust it, whatever you want to do. I do think this is cool. So you can have like this. It's got like this ball joint here, so you can really get it around. So if I was doing some kind of stop motion, I could get a little bit of wiggle room with it, a little play with it for a little bit of dynamic posing. This is this is probably the only figure that you get this with compared to the other Dragonzords, which you do not get. But with the other Dragonzords, there's I think the Zord Ascension project in general, I do get a little bit more out of the way on this one. I'll probably be doing a more in-depth review or a comparison between this one and the other Dragonzords, but right now this is kind of where we're at. I mean, it's not my favorite, it's not the worst, but it's just okay. It is just okay, right? I don't love it, I don't hate it, I just think it's okay. This is probably one of the most okay-ish figures that I have, and I don't know if it's because of the price point. I don't know if it's because of I do think they could have cut the mouth a little more, made the mouth open up a little more. I don't know. I think the fact that you don't have to worry about combining this with anything, and yet it still has such limited articulation, really hurts this figure. Let's go ahead and get into some size comparisons. For the first size comparison, I've got the flipping head Power Rangers. I have the original green one with no shield, and then I have the revision White Ranger. So you can see he's not incredibly big. And as we swap him out for other figures, you're going to realize that he's not incredibly big. I think while he has his place on the shelf, he's not gonna be your definitive. I don't know, it's hard to say. Like, if you just want a Dragonzord on your shelf because he looks cool, I do think this is your guy. I apologize, I do not actually have any of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from the Lightning collection in my collection. I only have the in-space characters, but they're relatively all around the same size. So that's just so you can get a good look at just kind of where he's at. Again, he is a little bigger than your Lightning collection, and at twice the price. Limited articulation, some good accessories though. I have to say, good accessories. It is just tough. This is really going to come down to a person by person basis. I can't say this is the guy you need to get if you want a Dragonzord in your collection. Here's some more kind of like we're gonna have like one villain as well as one alternative ranger. That way you kind of get an idea of how big he is compared to those as well. I actually really like this guy. He's super cheap. You tend to be able to find him for about $20. I wish he would have came with his motorcycle, but he's pretty cool. I do recommend. But again, you see he's not incredibly huge. He's not towering over them. I think when we get into the comparison about the other Dragonzords, you'll kind of see that, yeah, it's just not, I don't know. Let's swap these out. And here we have two of the original 8-inch Rangers. I have the Green Ranger and the White Ranger. And you can see he's about that size. He's about 8.5 inches tall. He's not super big. Which is okay, because again, I do think he's good representation of the Dragonzord. I think if you just need one on your shelf, this is a cool one to have if you're really gonna be playing around with it, messing around with it, maybe taking photos. That's where I don't think this is your guy. I do think there's other alternatives that are better than this one. Let me get these fellas out the way. I do like those figures a lot. Glad to have those in my collection. But let's go ahead and I'm gonna bring out some Dragonzords real quick. Alright, now that we got them all together, you can kind of see where the size differences are and what the differences are. With the Legacy one, of course, you have the die cast, which I think is amazing. My one fault with this one is that you can still see the visor within the mouth whenever you play with this one. But this is honestly probably my favorite version of the Dragonzord. It's tough though, it really is tough. I think they all have room in your display for different things. I have this one in one combined mode, the original in one combined mode. I have this Zord Ascension Project in another combined mode. And then I have this one displayed as a regular Dragonzord. But having this one on a different shelf as a normal Dragonzord, I think is cool too. Again, if you look at the legs, my Legacy one cannot do that splayed action that this one can. The Zord Ascension one can though. Which I like a lot. The Zord Ascension Project one as well, I think looks good. I mean, it's a lot more detailed in my opinion. It's not as accurate to the show, but I know that's not what they're going for. They're not going for accuracy. They're trying to get a more detailed looking figure. If we look at the bottom of the feet, you've got that Z on there, which I think is cool. I didn't even check to see, do we have that on here? We do not. We have no paint applications on the bottom. We have 2 pinholes for a stand. But with blocky feet like this, do we even need a stand? He's got good ankle rotation, so it makes him able to stand a little bit differently. We can get a decent little walking pose with him as well. I don't know if I can do that. It's not pretty on the original, but the original I'm not gonna pretend is the most pretty thing in the world either. It's definitely got a shorter tail, so it's tough. I think you look at this and it is the smallest in height of all 4 of my Dragonzords. So again, you look at that and it's like, it's tough. It really is tough. I think you can find the original Dragonzord for about 40-50 bucks depending on the condition. 40 to 100 probably. Again, just depends on condition, but I think a decent one you can find a little under 100 bucks, probably around the same price point as this one. If you're my age, you're gonna want probably this one because that's the one you grew up with. This is the one I had as a kid. This one I do think is show accurate though. Like, this is probably the most show accurate and best articulated one. So like, if I was gonna do a stop motion, It's hard. I'd still probably end up picking the Zord Ascension project. I think it looks cool. You do have the red eyes. You've got the red paint here, which honestly kind of looks dull. It's very flat. I had a friend who said that they saw another post that said it's very man in a suit-ish, which I understand too. It is, and that's part of why I think it's good representation of the show, is because it is man in a suit-ish, and that's how they did it. Again, each one's gonna have a different spot in your display. I tend to display this one, the legacy one, in my display as like my main Dragonzord, but I may not, to be honest, not anymore. I love the die cast of this one. Again, you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 times more for this one now if you didn't buy it when it first came out. This is about $55, $70 after shipping, depending on where you get it from. Is it cool? Yes. Whether it's worth that price point, I mean, kinda. It's really gonna depend on you. What do you feel like? What do you want? Do you want the original one? Because the original one, you could argue, is kind of ugly. It's dated. It definitely needs a tune-up. You look at this little tail, and it's not the best. So I'm gonna get that one out the way. That way we can kind of compare these, because I'd say these are my 3 favorites. And again, he is the smaller. The other 2 are towering over him. The Zord Ascension project also comes with the missile firing hands as well as the missile shot hands. I do like these better than the ones for the Zord Ascension project. The Zord Ascension project ones look kind of cheap in comparison. I mean, it's just like a straight shot, fades from white into red. You see the little missiles, but I like this. I think this is better painted. You've got the white clouds behind it, a little bit of yellowing here, which is cool. You've got the missile point and then the tip coming out of the fingers. I do like that. And then you do get the articulated joint here. It's really gonna depend on what you're looking for. I think if you're gonna do a stop motion, these 2 are your guys. Like the Zord Ascension project and your Super7 are gonna do it for you. This guy's not going to offer you a whole lot of range. Like I said, though, is this one has the trunk rotation, right? The ball joint. This one has none, and he's a little loosey-goosey in the hips. This one has none as well, so that's another downfall. It really is just tough to say. It's going to come down to personal preference. I'm not sad to have this in my collection, by no means, and I probably won't be selling it. This is one that will probably stay here in my collection, or it may be my work toy just to kind of hang out with me. It is cool. I like this accessory a lot, even though it's small and simple. Having the little Tommy Oliver figure, I think, is really cool. I think it'll look cool if I do a shot with the Zord Ascension project one. It'll look really cool if I do a shot using any of these Dragonzords. I think for photography reasons, this is not my favorite. And me, who does a lot of photography on Instagram, this is not my favorite for that. I like this one just because of extra detail. But again, if I was going to do a stop motion, it'd probably be this one. This one does not open up at the shoulders either, but that's where I do like the Zord Ascension project one, is that it does open up at the shoulders. It gives you more dynamic poses out of it. Sure, I don't have the ball joint, but it does have enough hip rotation to allow me to, put it into like it's been hit kind of pose. It does have the opening mouth, even though that little piece comes down whenever you open it. This is probably my favorite, but I'll do a more in-depth review about it later on. But for right now, we're just talking about this. Again, do what you want with your money. It's up to you. Super7, I don't know if they hit the mark with this one, but I'm not upset about it either. I really want to get the Dino Megazord for this. I think that'll look really cool. But for right now, I'm not going to say this is my favorite version. But please comment down below what you guys think, what you want to see next, what you're interested in. Do you want to see a more in-depth comparison of these figures? I do have a few more size comparisons. Alright, and here's your Dino Megazord size comparison. We have the Legacy Dinozord, or Dino Megazord, over here on the left, and the original on the right. As you can see, I honestly think they kind of scale well together. I mean, this guy's a little beefy anyway, so whenever you look at the original Dragonzord, I think it scales well. But I think here, especially with the Legacy one, it looks really good. I think if you were to display both of those in your shelf, and like you wanted to keep this one in your shelf for a filler until you got the Legacy or something like that, or you wanted this to be your definitive Dragonzord, I really think that works. I want to see how this will scale with the Dino Megazord from Super7 once that comes in, but right now this is what you got, and I think this is okay. The Zord Ascension Project one is taller than both of these. He currently is separated, and I do not feel like putting them together, and I think a lot of you guys can understand that. So there's that. But honestly, I think these look pretty good together. I've got a few more comparisons. Here you have them next to the Mezco Green Ranger and the red Zord, which I think, again, it looks kind of small. Again, though, this is a combiner for the Thunder Megazord, which is a big Megazord. So they're probably not going to be on the same shelf anyway, so that really doesn't matter. As far as this goes, again, they're not going to be in super scale, but do they look fantastic together? Yes, I do think so. I think they look really good together. The Mezco Green Ranger is honestly one of the best figures I also own as well. I do have a little bit of an obsession with the Green and White Ranger, but that is okay. Alright, so next I have the Dragonzord next to a lot of the Dino Megazords or the Dinozords before they combined to make the Dino Megazords from the Zord Ascension Project. Like I said, I just did not feel like taking these, putting these together. I like the way these look. I like the way they're a little stylized with the extra detailing, but you get a good size comparison, and I think if anything, these kind of scale really well together. If I took the other ones apart, which I'm not going to, those might scale a little better, because I know this is probably the biggest out of the three that I have. I think the original is a little chunkier, so that might be a little different, but overall I do think these scale really well together. I don't really have any complaints. I'd say this kind of is more accurate to the show. I do think this T-Rex could be a little smaller than this one. I'd like to get a hold of the Super7 T-Rex just to see how he looks. It's unfortunate though, because from what I understand, Super7 is not going to be continuing this line, so I don't know how deep I want to get into it. They're not doing well with the licenses. They got Bulk and Skull finally, and I don't really want them from Super7. Why all the random characters? Just cuz? I mean, we haven't even finished all the Rangers. We don't have the Megazords. We don't have all the Zords. Like, I'm not really understanding their thinking at Super7. They really are just kind of all over the place. For my next comparison, you have Serpentera, which does not even fit on the screen, and the Dragonzord, and the Ninja White Falcon Zord. So, and really this was just kind of for funsies. I don't think you're gonna be displaying these two together. But just for a size comparison, and this is one of my favorite toys. This too is a beautiful work of art. So yeah, just for fun, just for another size comparison, let's take a look at some more. And I know these guys are not supposed to be in the same scale as this Super 7 figure. I know that. But I thought it was a good opportunity to show you guys just another size comparison. Was the 3-0 White Ranger and Green Ranger. Two of my favorite toys I own. But as you can see, they are substantially bigger than the Super 7 figure. And again, I know they are not supposed to scale together, but I just thought it'd be a cool size comparison. Let's see. And as you can see, this little tiny dummy Oliver is very, very tiny. So there's that. And here's what I consider your standard figure comparisons. These are not Power Rangers, but I do think most people will have them and it'll give you an idea of size. There's your standard Spider-Man with your new Spider-Man 2, PS5 Spider-Man, Marvel Legends figure. You've got a McFarlane Ben Affleck Batman. Let's go ahead and swap out Spider-Man. And we'll put out NECA Raphael. All the Ninja Turtles are like the same height. We'll take out Batman. And we'll put in Siege Optimus Prime. And we'll take out Raphael. And I'm gonna put in SHF Naruto. And yeah, again, these are not because I think you're gonna display all these figures together. It's because I know that collections are varied and you're gonna have different toys in your collection, and depending on what you have, it gives you an idea of how big he is. Because I know, just like I do, a lot of other collectors collect various different lines. I don't love it. While I don't hate it, I don't know how much I really like it. It's cool, don't get me wrong. I think it is cool. I think it has its place on your shelf. I think just if you're gonna pick this up, keep your expectations realistic and you really won't be disappointed. I think it's cool. I'm gonna keep this on my shelf. It's not going anywhere. I'm not selling it, so that says something, because I'm big for selling anything I don't really want. So yeah, I think that's another good point. Let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you can hit the like button, subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This means a lot just to do these kind of videos to me. Just sharing my toy experiences and how I feel. And feel free to comment down below, like I said. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you again for being here.